Good morning, all of you. So, in last lecture, we have completed rates of taxation. Rate of tax in case of short-term capital gain and long-term capital gain, right? For short-term capital gain, it is 15 percentage for those who have purchased the shares, listed shares or securities, and for others, it will be normal slab rate, normal tax rate. For long-term capital gain, it is 20 percentage. It is 20 percentage. If you are taking the benefit of indexation, then it is 20 percentage. Without indexation, it is 10 percentage. One more section we have completed, section 112A. Section 112A, in which if you purchase shares of rupees, if you have capital gain of rupees 1 lakh, up to 1 lakh, you are not supposed to pay anything. You are not supposed to pay anything. But in which you will not get the benefit of rebate, deductions. Can you please mute the phone? Here it is. Section 112A, in which the benefit of indexation will not be allowed, deductions under chapter 6A will not be allowed, rebate will not be allowed. Okay, so that's all we have completed in last lecture. So your 95% chapter is over. Capital gain is almost over. Okay, some miscellaneous points are there that we have look into. So let me mark you the important topics. Okay, coming to page number 1, which are the important points. If you have taken the printout of the material, then please tick the important points. If you haven't taken the printout yet, then please write down the important points. Okay, capital gain is very wide chapter. Okay, it's very huge, so it will not be possible to do all these things, revision of all the points before the exam day. Okay, so if you have taken the printout, then tick whatever the important points are, or if you haven't, then please write down. First one, capital asset. Definition of capital asset. What is the meaning of capital asset? Okay, short note can be asked, 1 mark MCQ or 1 mark question can be asked. Whether jewelry will be considered under capital asset or not, whether stock will be considered as capital asset or not, something like that. Then bifurcation of capital asset into short term and long term. Page number 4, last line. Short term and long term assets. Bifurcation of capital assets into short term and long term. Page number 2 to 8, Brian. Okay. All of you are supposed to take the printout. Yes. So, short-term capital asset for shares and securities, if it is held for 12 months or more than 12 months, then it is, if it is held for less than or equal to 12 months, then it is short-term. If it is held for more than 12 months, then it is long-term. If it's about listed shares or land and building, then if you have taken the asset for 24 months or less than 24 months, then it is short term. Otherwise, it will be long term. And for unlisted shares, unit of date oriented fund, and all the other assets, all the other capital asset, if it is held for less than or equal to 36 months, then it is short term. Otherwise, it is long term. Done? And there are certain points that must be noted. These are important also. Then again, most important definition, transfer. Definition of transfer, section number 2, subsection 47. This is also one of the important points. What doesn't constitute transfer? What doesn't constitute transfer? MCQ can be asked in which 3 options are saying this is transfer and 1 options will be from here only. So you have to identify the odd one out. Okay? Which one doesn't constitute transfer? Mode of computation, page number 236. Mode of computation. Here, indexation calculation is most important. Indexation of cost of acquisition and indexation of cost of improvement. Capital gain on depreciable assets. Capital gain on depreciable assets, 243. Capital gain on slum sale, next point. Section 50B. Capital gain in respect of slum sale. Section 51, advance money received. 248, advance money received. Prior to 1st April 2014, it is deducted from your cost of acquisition. Afterwards, it will be considered as your cost of, income from other sources. Income from other sources. Are you recalling or not? We have done all these things. Okay. We are right now just recalling. And the most important, exemptions of capital gain. Exemptions of capital gain. 249. In 249 also, the most important are section number 54, 54 EC. 54 and 54 EC. These two are most important. Rest of the exemptions are also equivalently important, but these two can be asked majorly. Okay. And the last one, rates of tax, rates of capital gain. Okay. So these are the most important part of your module number 1, capital gain. Okay. We have covered up almost everything from this module, but there are still certain points that is left. Yes, page number 233, conversion or treatment of capital asset into stock in trade. This is also one of the important concept. Okay, please mark this. Section 45, subsection 2, page 233, 233. Now, let's discuss the few points that are left. Okay. Compensation on compulsory acquisition. Section number 45, subsection 5. In same page, 233, 234. Okay. This is part of year of chargeability. The point, year of chargeability. In which year capital gain is to be charged. We have discussed rest of the points, but this is pending. Sometimes a building or some other assets, capital assets belonging to a person is taken over by central government. So sometimes it happens that any land or building belonging to a person is taken over by central government by way of compulsory acquisition. Compulsory acquisition means it's mandatory that it is taken over by central government. It's not an option for a person to whether to give it or not. So central government compulsorily acquired. In that case, consideration for transfer is determined or approved by central government or RBI. It is not like that central government will take over free of cost. Okay, they will pay something. Okay, they will pay to the person who is owner. Such capital gains are chargeable as income of a previous year in which such compensation is received. Look, this is important part. Such capital gains are chargeable as income of the previous year in which such compensation or part thereof is received. What does that mean? It means, for example, central government has acquired my building in 2019. Okay, in 2019. Now, central government has paid me my remuneration, my amount that I am receivable in 2021. So, in which year it will be considered as my capital gain? In 2019 or in 2021? The year of acquisition is 2019, and the year in which I have received the money is 2021. So it will be taxable in 2021, the year in which I have received the money. That is what written over here. Such capital gains are chargeable as income of previous year in which such compensation or part thereof is received. Clear? Year of chargeability will be the year in which it is received. Now, enhanced compensation. What is the meaning of enhanced compensation? Many times, persons whose capital assets have been taken over by central government and who get compensation from government go to the court of law for enhancement of compensation. For example, government has acquired my building for 50 lakh rupees. Okay, 50 lakh rupees. But I filed a case in court against the central government that I am supposed to receive 75 lakh rupees, but central government has paid me 50 lakh rupees only. 50 lakh rupees only. 50 lakh rupees only. So I have filed a case that I am supposed to receive 75 lakh rupees, but central government has paid me 50 lakh rupees only. So I am supposed to receive more amount. So I have filed a case, and if I won, then I will receive the enhanced compensation. Enhanced compensation. Okay. So if the court awards a compensation which is higher than the original compensation was 50 lakh rupees, enhanced compensation is 75 lakh rupees. So whatever higher amount I have received, that will be considered as enhanced compensation. The difference thereof will be chargeable to capital gain in the year in which the same is received from government. Now, this is also taxable in the year in which you receive the money. For example, in continuance of this example, in your chat box, I have sold my, it is compulsorily acquired on 2019. Okay. Government has given me the amount 2021, which one? 50 lakh rupees. 50 lakh rupees. Okay. Now I have filed a case. After 3 years, I won. Okay. The court rewarded me with the 75 lakh rupees. The case is in favor of me. Now in 2024, I have received more amount, that is 25 lakh rupees. So now this 25 lakh rupees will be taxable in which year? In which year? This 25 lakh, yes, this 25 lakh will be taxable in which year? Well, I want reply from you. I have, the government has acquired my asset on 2019. Okay. Government has paid me 50 lakh rupees in 2021, but I have filed a case and I won, and I have received my enhanced compensation in 2024. That is 25 lakh. So in which year I have to pay the tax on that capital gain 25 lakh rupees? 2000. Okay. Okay, Rudra Dutt also replied. Okay, Divyesh Kumar. $24. No. 24. The year in which it is received. It is 24. So you have received the amount in 2024. So it will be taxable in 2024. Yes, all of you are correct. Rudra Dutt, Divyesh, Vijay Raj Singh, Deepak, Angela, Uttam. And here, offline students also. So 50 lakh rupees will be taxable in 2021, and the enhanced compensation 25 lakh will be taxable in the year in which it is received, that is 2024. Clear? Now, cost of acquisition or improvement in case of enhanced compensation. For this purpose, the cost of acquisition and the cost of improvement shall be taken to be nil. Now, the enhanced compensation you have received 25 lakh rupees in our example, 25 lakh rupees. What will be the cost of asset? What will be the cost of asset? So it will be considered as nil, obviously nil. Why? Because in 2021 you have received something and you have claimed your cost also. You have claimed your cost also. Now let me explain you in Excel sheet. Okay, look into the Excel sheet. Now, in our example in 2029, central government compulsorily acquired, okay, asset. In 2021 received compensation, okay, that is 50 lakh. Let's say in 2010 we have purchased it for 16 lakh rupees, okay, purchase price. This is purchase price, okay. Now in 2021 we have filed the case and in 2024 we won and 25 lakh rupees received as enhanced compensation. Clear? Scenario. Now in 2021 your sale consideration is 50 lakh rupees, obviously, because you have received from central government 50 lakh rupees and your purchase indexed cost of acquisition that you will calculate. Okay, right now we are not calculating it. For example, let's say it is 32 lakh. Okay, for example, let's say it is 32 lakh indexed cost of acquisition. Okay, right now we are not calculating it. So what will be your long term capital gain? 18 lakh rupees. Clear? Are you getting this? In 2021, your long-term capital gain is 18 lakh rupees. You have paid the tax. Okay. Now you have filed the case. In 2024, you won. Okay, and you have received 25 lakh more. 25 lakh as enhanced compensation. Now, what will be the cost? What will be the cost here? Nothing. Yes. Cost will be nothing. Why? Because you have already occupied your cost while calculating capital gain in 2021. Clear? This is what I am trying to say. You have already claimed your indexed cost of acquisition in 2021. Now in 2024, you are not supposed to get any benefit of cost of acquisition. The all 25 lakh rupees will be taxable. That's why it is written over here that for this purpose, cost of acquisition or cost of improvement will be considered as nil. Chalo, clear? If you have any doubt, then please raise your doubt in chat box, okay? Or raise your hand. I got 4 replies only. Offline students directly, you can reply to me. Okay, very good. Now, compensation received in pursuance of an interim order deemed as income chargeable to tax in the year of final order. Now, let's look into next para. In order to remove the uncertainty regarding the year in which the amount of compensation received in pursuance of an interim order. Interim order means what? Before final order, you will receive an interim order. Interim order means in Gujarati Vajgadanu, in the middle of the case and final order, you will have received interim order. Interim order of the court, tribunal, or other authority is to be charged to tax. A proviso has been inserted after clause B to provide that such compensation shall be deemed to be the income under the head capital gain in previous year in which the final order of court is made. Whenever final order is made, that interim order will be taxable. Okay? If you have received an interim order in 2022, in our example, for example, in 2022, you have received an interim order that you will receive 10 lakh rupees. But in final order in 2024, it is said that now you will receive 25 lakh full amount. Okay, so that 10 lakh plus 15 lakh, that is 25 lakh, you will receive in 2024. That's why it will be taxable in 2024 only. There is no value of interim order. Okay, it's not like that you have received interim order, then also it will be taxable. No, it is not taxable. It will be taxable at the time of final order only. At the time of final order only. Done? Reduction of enhanced compensation. Where capital gain has been charged on the compensation received by the SSE for compulsory acquisition of any capital asset or enhanced compensation received by SSE and subsequently such compensation is reduced by the court. Now vice versa situation. Vice versa means totally reverse situation happened. You have received 50 lakh rupees, but court of law feels that you have received more than it is required. More than it is required. You have received 50 lakh rupees, but actually you are supposed to receive 45 lakh rupees only. Okay, you are supposed to receive 45 lakh rupees only. So it is reduction in compensation. So the assessed capital gain of that year shall be recomputed by taking into consideration as reduced amount. The recomputation will be done by way of rectification. Rectification means change. We have to rectify it. Rectification of error. Okay, but most of the times it's not like that. Okay, compensation can't be reduced. practical example. Okay, in practical life, it always enhance. It can't be reduced. Why? Because central government cannot give you more amount. Last point, death of the transferor. It is possible that transferor may die before he receives the enhanced compensation. Then in that case, the enhanced compensation or consideration will be chargeable to tax in the hands of a person who received the same. Legal heirs. So legal heirs are supposed to pay the tax. Simple. Done. Next, miscellaneous point, capital gain on distribution of assets by companies in liquidation. Now, what is the meaning of companies in liquidation? Companies which are going to be shut down in future year. Okay, company is in liquidation. So, sorry, yes, section 46. So, in the hands of liquidated company, first of all, in the hands of liquidated company, any capital gain arise in the hands of company where the assets of company are distributed to its shareholders on its liquidation. Such distribution shall be regarded as transfer by the company for the purpose of section 45. Now, for example, there is one company, ABC Private Limited. ABC Private Limited. In the year of liquidation, company has transferred all the capital assets to shareholders. So it will be considered as transfer and company has to pay the capital gain. Okay. ABC Limited is transferring, let's say, building to Mr. A, land to Mr. B, plant and machinery to Mr. C. ABC, these are the shareholders of ABC Private Limited. So whatever assets are transferred to its shareholders will be taxable in the hands of transferor. That is who? ABC Private Limited. Okay, it is clearly written that it is considered as transfer by company. Now, in the hands of shareholders, what will be the situation in the hands of shareholder? For example, I am one of the shareholders and I have received the compensation. So, what will be the tax treatment in my books of accounts? The shareholders receive money or other assets from the company on its liquidation. They may be chargeable to income tax under the head capital gain in respect of the market value of the assets received on the date of distribution or the monies so received by them. The portion of distribution which is attributable to accumulated profits of the company is to be treated as dividend income of shareholders under section 2, subsection 22, clause C. That we will discuss in your module 2. Okay, we will start from tomorrow. It will be there. Section 2, subsection 22, clause C, deemed dividend, which is subject to dividend distribution tax in the hands of company. The same will be deducted from the amount received or fair market value for the purpose of determining consideration for computation of capital gains. So, capital gain tax on subsequent sale by shareholders. If the shareholders, after receipt of such asset on liquidation of company, there transfers it, then the fair market value on the date of distribution would be treated as cost of acquisition. One time reading, okay? So many points are there in capital gain. So this, there are very few chances that question can be asked from this. Now, next point, page number 247. Capital gain on transfer of unlisted shares of company. This section is applicable if an assessee transfers shares in a company other than quoted shares. Right now, there are no quoted shares. There are nothing like quoted shares at less than the fair market value for such share determined in accordance with the prescribed manner. In such case, the fair market value of shares shall be deemed to be the full value of consideration for the purpose of computation of capital gain, provided that provisions of this section shall not apply to the transactions undertaken by certain class of persons. Now, how to calculate full market value, fair market value, or full value of consideration, and reference to the valuation officer. Valuation officer will determine what is the cost of your asset. So, that's all about your capital gain. Let's discuss practical example. Question answer. Case study 1. Hello, try to solve this. Yeah? Mr. Kapoor is a retired person earning total pension 1 lakh rupee. He purchased gold in 2010, December 2010, and sold the same in April 2019. Purchase 2010, sales 2019. Taxable long-term capital gain amounted to 2,80,000 rupees. What will be his tax liability for the assessment year 2021? First of all, I want reply from you. What is total income of Mr. Kapoor? What will be the total income of Mr. Kapoor? What is total income of Mr. Kapoor? Sorry? Total income, yes. 1 lakh. Read the question. Mr. Kapoor, retired person, 1 lakh rupee pension. He purchased gold in December 2010 and same is sold in April 2019. Long-term capital gain 2,80,000. What is total income? Very easy question. And I got one reply only.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Ahmed.
I thought your mic is off.
Sorry.
No, sir, it's clear. I thought your mic is off, but it's not off. It's on.
Now, it is given Mr. Kapoor aged 67 years. Total pension received 1 lakh rupees. So pension will be taxable under which head? Pension will be taxable under which head? Chalo fast. Pension amount will be taxable under which head?
Salary.
Yes, all of you are correct. It is taxable under the head salary. So 1 lakh rupee. Clear? And it is given that long-term capital gain is 2,80,000 rupees. So we will write down 2,80,000 rupees. There is nothing in house property, there is nothing in PGBP, and there is nothing in capital, sorry, IFOS. Capital gain, there is 2,80,000, and that is long-term capital gain. So let me write down long-term capital gain. Clear now? Any deductions given? Or any deductions available? Chalo, please reply. Any deductions available? Rebate that we will discuss afterwards. Rebate will come, but before that, any deductions available or not? Yes, DVS, very good. Standard deduction. Standard deduction, 50,000 rupees. Standard deduction, that is 50,000 rupees. So your taxable amount will be 50,000 rupees only. Standard deduction 50,000 rupees. Last point of your salaries head. Last semester. In salaries head, you are supposed to get benefit of standard deduction 50,000 rupees. Now, what is your gross total income? Like 30,000 rupees. Now, what will be the basic exemption limit for Mr. Kapoor? Chalo fast, reply fast. What will be the basic exemption limit for Mr. Kapoor? No. DVS, you are only right. Age, no, it's not below. It's above the age of 60 years. That's why it will be 3 lakh rupees. 2,50,000 rupees for those whose age is below 60 years. He is senior citizen. Mr. Kapoor is senior citizen. So up to 3 lakh rupee, tax will be 0, nil. Okay. Now, remaining 30,000 rupee, what will be the tax rate? Now, important concept. Up to 3 lakh to 5 lakh, the tax rate is 5%. We know that. Okay? We know that it is 5%. But here, what are the ingredients of capital gain? Salary and long-term capital gain. So we know that in long-term capital gain, tax rate is 20%. 20% in last lecture, and in starting of this lecture, we have discussed that in long-term capital gain, tax rate is 20%, long-term capital gain. Okay. So which rate will be applicable over here? 5%, that is the slab rate given, or 20%? 5% or 20%? Which one will be applicable? So, I'm not asking you, let me clarify this. First of all, your basic exemption limit will be occupied by the remaining heads other than capital gain. Why? Because it is 5% tax rate. The specified tax rate is given for long-term capital gain. So it will be occupied later. It will be occupied later. So 0 to 30, 50,000, your salary's head will be occupied. After 50,000, your total income is 3 lakh. 3 lakh 30,000. So 50,000 to 3 lakh 30,000, that is your long-term capital gain portion. That is your long-term capital gain portion. So you have to pay the tax at the rate 20% and not at the rate 5%. Look into the Excel sheet here. Look. Up to 50,000, your total income will comprise of salary, and above 50,000, your capital gain will be considered. So 50,000 is your salary, that is occupied first in your basic exemption limit, and then your 2,80,000 capital gain will come into picture later on. The pachi avse. So total income will be 3,30,000. That's how it is calculated. That's how it is calculated. So this 30,000 is nothing but part of your capital gain. So 30,000 multiplied by 20%. So tax will be 6,000 rupees and it's not 5%. That will be 1,500. It is 6,000 rupees. Okay. Now, Rudradat, your point will come. You will get the benefit of rebate under section 87A. And you will get the benefit of full 6,000 rupees. So tax payable will be 0. Tax payable will be 0. Sir, how 6,000? Maximum limit is, maximum limit is 12,500. Maximum limit of rebate under section 87A is 12,500. Ravi, I will not consider your attendance, okay? It is clear or not? Please reply. Chalo, fast.
Clear, sir.
Okay, very good. So all of you are requested to write down the enrollment number now. Thank you, all of you.
Esistono gola sul film. Kul shada?
Yes, Ahmed.
Yes, sir.
You want to say something?
No, no, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello, Forum, Dhanraj, Michelle, David. Lecture is over. You are supposed to write down enrollment number. I am going to end the session.